free consultation.
What we're gonna do right here is go back.
KBLA Talk 1580 is turning up the frequency in Black History Month. Be on the lookout for some familiar faces as the Metro K line is currently wrapped in KBLA Talk 1580. Make sure you visit the KBLA Talk 1580 online store, now open for business with all kinds of fresh merch. Don't miss a single episode of The Motivator, Les Brown's month-long radio residency. You've got to be hungry. Weekdays at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. And afternoons just got real. Real people, real talk, real issues, real solutions. Be sure to check out Ariva Martin in real time on your way home weekday afternoons from 4 to 6. Turning up the frequency all Black History Month long. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
I'm Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. If your relationship is in trouble, I'm the dude to call. Has your soulmate become your cellmate? Does black love still exist? What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a fat person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this gonna be crazy.
How about the heavy stuff?
The child wasn't his, and he still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How was that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I just like to kiss it. Is there something wrong with that?
Damn.
He told me he had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant.
Betrayal has been committed.
Hit you with the bad pipes routine.
How does he maintain his humposity?
He likes it when it pinches my neck.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man. Karate man rules on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses.
Yeah.
How do you write women so well?
Zoe Williams,
Reason and accountability.
the voice of reason.
We are talking about a very real and very confusing and humiliating tactic that narcissists use. Today we're talking about why the narcissist will withhold love and affection or sex. In today's video, I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons that narcissists withhold sex from their partner. Number 1, everything that the narcissist does is about power and control. Nothing is more important to a narcissist than gaining control over his or her partner. So typically in the beginning of the relationship, the narcissist will get us hooked on them by love bombing us. And typically, sex will be a big part of this. It's not uncommon for the sex to be really wonderful as well. Especially in the beginning, and usually the narcissist makes us feel like we have met our soulmate. Then all of a sudden, after several weeks or months of this, they start rejecting us. We are left confused, hurt, bewildered, and many times humiliated by this rejection. Usually this will throw us into overdrive of trying to get to the bottom of it, figure out what has happened, what has changed. Why are they rejecting us? And the answer is it has nothing to do with us. This is a power play and has nothing to do with anything that we have or haven't done. The only reason the narcissist is doing this is because it makes them feel superior and they enjoy the narcissistic supply that they gain from hurting you and watching you struggle. Number 2, narcissists will withhold sex from a partner as part of the devalue cycle. This is almost always part of the devalue stage. Nothing gets the message across to a partner that you aren't worthy or desirable more than rejecting a partner sexually. Also, narcissists know that by doing this, you will become consumed with getting the loving, wonderful version of them back that you had in the beginning. And that is incredibly important to the narcissist as they are conditioning us to become preoccupied with their needs, wants, and desires, and to think of yourself less and less and less. Again, this is about gaining control and power over their partner. Number 3, they enjoy seeing you frustrated and confused. Unfortunately, having the power to upset you, confuse you, and hurt you is narcissistic supply for a narcissist. And narcissistic supply is the drug they are addicted to. You must remember, narcissistic supply in its simplest form is the attention of others that makes them feel special. So while narcissists typically prefer positive narcissistic supply from a target in the form of love, praise, and adoration, when they are bored of that, they unfortunately enjoy extracting supply out of a victim in the form of hurt, confusion, frustration, and even anger, because that is still your attention that makes them feel special. If they hold the power to hurt you and humiliate you by rejecting you, that does indeed make them feel powerful and special. Number 4, they may...
Yikes. Yikes. Ladies and gentlemen, the voice of reason returns for the second hour. Wow, what are the psychological effects of withholding affection? And what's interesting is, although the young lady in the video or in the clip is breaking down the narcissistic withholder, we have to be clear about the stats on that. So, according to the stats here, let's see, the recoveryvillage.com says approximately 0.5% of the United States population, or 1 in 200 people, have this disorder, narcissism. NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. But this is where the rubber meets the road here. There are significant gender differences when it comes to the prevalence of the disorder. About 75% of people with narcissistic personality disorder are men. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Put Private Dancer back on. No. Let's get Gerald from Honolulu back in here. Gerald, you left us with a bombshell, brother. You left us with a bombshell. You said if they can't accept it, they won't protect it. Go deeper into that, please.
Okay. Well, what I meant by that is we live in a world, I'm referring to 2023, is you have people that have a mindset of want, but they don't know how to differentiate what they need. Why I say that is because to identify what you need, you got to first be vulnerable within yourself to have that conversation, to even set up correction. Most people, not all, won't do the work. And that's why we're seeing the ripple effects in today's society. That is why the genders are at difference. That's why the families are fragmented, because it requires for the person to be transparent. Zoe, you and I have a lot in common. I'm 53, and as you know, in our upbringing, there was no context of emotion. We were Gen X. We had to figure it out. We were latchkey kids.
Right.
And most Gen kids are very, very talented. But think about it from this perspective. Only a small fragment of those Gen X folks actually reached the level of who they were destined to be. Majority of them have taken a position of more or less making excuses, being bitter. And I say that very, very subtly because it's sad. It's very sad because not to put myself out there, I'm on YouTube as well. I had to deal with, I want to say, depression from my failed relationship because I genuinely loved my daughter's mom. I mean, if she had asked me to walk on water, I would have tried because it wasn't about me. It was about my daughter and sustaining the structure that was required. And so when you speak on, or when the clip spoke on the effects of narcissism, yes, unfortunately, from the male gender, a lot of times we have to carry that in our emotional backpack. So when I went through that whole debauchery, the first thing I did was take a step back, make sure that what I was experiencing wasn't something that was self-induced. Instead of using the proverbial option of getting over someone to get under someone, I turned to my faith. I'm a spiritual man, and I'm on YouTube. And so my position, I talk about humanity because what's at stake is the future generations that will come. Unfortunately, I'm going to say this very respectfully. I've never done anything to justify the behavior that I endure, even to the point for I could not see my daughter. But just believe, she marched right down to the courts in Fairfield and strung me up. And guess what? I took that on the chin because what was at stake was my daughter. I didn't want my story to have I didn't want my daughter to go through the one thing I never wanted was my daughter to be reared from only one parent when you have two that are walking and talking. There should be a unified front. But the truth of the matter was, sadly, like I remember on other places you have been on, and you say that's the SIM card. And I'm not saying that derogatory, but she was very, very manipulative to the point, like, I walk in transparency, so I have no regrets because the one thing that I've always done was to turn every stone in my life so that at least I know that I tried. But once again, it's not about me. It's about the legacy of my daughter, and she's good to go. Well, unfortunately, I missed out on all her upbringing after the age of 5. Thank goodness, since I've been in Hawaii for now almost 3 years. And even between that period of time, I can't tell you how many emails I've tried to send. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to use the extended family to, it was really bad for me because I was the dad that every birthday, every holiday, I want you to know that even though I physically am not there, you are loved. But because of the influence of her mom, one thing I had to learn was when a child's in a situation such as that, the one thing that they're not going to do is disrespect what is considered their living constant. How are they going to look at them slight of eye when they're the one that established their mindset, their mentality, and their behavior because they were there the whole time? Which, on the flip side, as the absentee parent, not by choice, you don't have a voice. So you don't know what conversations were being held. You don't know what behaviors were being shown. And it was so sad. But I can tell you this. Still my daughter is 22. And, I made sure she had everything she needed. She's still on my medical benefits still to this day. Why? Even though I don't get to smell her fragrance, touch her hand, you best believe that what won't be said is, hey, even though he wasn't there, he tried to do the best he can. And I'm going to tell you what, you know how California is. My support, I should have had 5 kids for the amount of money that I was given. And guess what? Because I didn't want my daughter to want. So I know that the Most High, when he sees fit, all this, what I've had to endure is preparation for the blessing that when she gets to see me face to face for the first time. She knows where I'm at. Wherever, and you're talking to a person that has, when I say globally traveled, you're talking to that guy. The things that women desire in men, I embody it. But you know what my greatest accolade is? Is my humility, my temperance, and my faith.
Wow.
Because if without those 3,
you'd have lost in jail. You'd have lost.
And I did not want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have. Because, and I'm not trying to be winded. I know you got other callers. The worst thing that you can do as a custodial parent is to willfully make a decision to withhold access of a child that you both created together without merit. And there was no abuse. There was nothing. The only thing there was love, and unfortunately, she didn't want it. And but that's okay. The greatest gift out of that pain was my daughter,
man,
and that will never be unwavered. So thank you,
man. I appreciate your transparency, your willingness to talk about this very difficult type of withholding. And, man, just stay strong, stay rooted in your faith, your spirituality. I appreciate you for sharing.
Always.
Honolulu is in the building because of you. Aloha, good brother. Wow, that was heavy. But it gets even heavier. Parental alienation is a strategy whereby one parent intentionally displays to the child unjustified negativity aimed at the other parent. The purpose of this strategy is to damage the child's relationship with the other parent and to turn the child's emotions against the other parent. Now, you heard me read the stat about narcissism and how narcissism is believed to be 75% men of the 0.5% of the population of the United States that clinically are diagnosed as having NPD. But what if we recontextualized our view of parental alienation? Is that not narcissism? To turn a child's emotions against a non-custodial parent? Now, when you look at the stats, who are the custodial parents? 80% are moms. 20% are are fathers. Non-custodial parents, or 80% of the non-custodial parents, right? Non-custodial parents are fathers, right? Only 20% of women don't have the kid. Only 20% of the dads have the kid. So when you look at PASS, that's the acronym for Parental Alienation Syndrome, 80% moms are doing it to dads. Talking, whispering into a kid's ear, molding the kid's mind, flipping the kid's mind against their father. Could that be recontextualized as a type of narcissism? We know it's withholding. You withholding a whole kid from their biological father. Now, in some instances, it's justified. If the father's a dope addict, violent, criminal, killer, get it. I get it. I understand. Keep that kid away from him. I understand. But if that father is Gerald from Honolulu, we don't really know Gerald, do we? Did I meet Gerald? Anyway, Gerald sounds like a real nice guy. So, wow, this is heavy, y'all. This is heavy. When I come forward, the voice of reason going back to the phone lines, Jacksonville, Florida, and of course, Dallas, Texas. It's getting deep.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
I tried to quit smoking cigarettes probably hundreds of times over the years. 2 or 3 days into quitting again, I go get into a vehicle and guess what? There's a pack of cigarettes in there. I mean, I've got the unlit cigarette in my hand. And I said to myself, why do I even try to quit if I'm going to cave so easily every time? Something clicked in my head that told me I can do this.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
Did you know that California has the first in the nation task force to study reparations for African Americans? The work of the task force is to examine and recommend to the state legislature potential remedies of compensation, rehabilitation, and restitution for African Americans, with a special consideration for the descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. The task force has been hosting public hearings across the state to create awareness and educate the public. Be part of history and join them for public comment from 9 to 10 a.m. on March 3rd and 4th in Sacramento at the next Reparations Task Force meeting. For more information, visit the California Department of Justice website at oag.ca.gov. That's oag.ca.gov. Or you can send them an email from the website. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Even a single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take all kinds of forms: psychological, emotional, physical, economic, and sexual abuse. Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. Genesee also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal help. If you need services or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 800-479-7328. That's 800-479-7328. Or visit genesee.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you got it, it ain't a question. Oh, it ain't no room for guessing. No more than emotionally invested. Showing you all my imperfections. Oh, if I let you, don't take me for granted. Yeah. If I'm worth more than you could manage, yeah. Open with me, oh, we could be honest. Closer to me, oh, giving me solace. Promise that you won't let me fall. Holding me tight, loving me right, giving me life. All night you could be telling me lies, making me cry, wasting my time the whole time. So just be careful what you take for granted. Yeah. 'Cause with me, no, you could do damage. You could do damage. You could do damage. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, your brother Zoe Williams back in the building in the throes of a very riveting discussion. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, and the withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Love can only survive these injuries if they are acknowledged, healed, and moved on from. That is Bryn Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection. The Road Less Traveled, A New Psychology of Love, Traditional Values, and Spiritual Growth is another quote that I have, but I'm going to save that one for later in the show. But this is very interesting. You know, the brother who was just on the line from Hawaii, man, Gerald, the man. And then to be able to weave that into parental alienation, keeping your child, withholding your child. We do a lot of damage to each other in relationships because we have yet to reconcile the truth of who we are. One brother earlier today, it was Gerald. When Gerald talked about knowing yourself and being true to yourself, a lot of people don't understand how difficult of a process that is. And every time you go into a relationship, like lost about who you are, because it's hard to say this is what I want. A lot of people struggle with what do you want, right? Most people want something really basic. You know what it is? Acceptance. Accept me. Don't reject me. Approve of me. Like me, right? And so when things pop up in their character that make people recoil or push back, there's something wrong with you. You know, they take, because it's hard to say to yourself, damn, she saw my demon. She saw my dragon. Ugh, she saw the fangs. She saw the venom. It's hard to just say, I'm sorry you saw that. Right? I'm not always in control of that part of me. I'm sorry you had to see that. And if you got to get away from me because you saw that, I totally understand. That's a different level of accountability, because I hear men grilling women about being accountable. But how accountable are you for that inner demon, that dragon you walk around with? Heavy stuff tonight. Let's get Mimi from Jacksonville, Florida.
Hey, so I'm calling your show.
Hi, Mimi.
Hey, Zoe. Hey, everyone. Does anybody say it better than I do?
Nobody says it better than you. That's what
Nobody,
baby. That is your theme music.
Yes.
Talk to me. Talk to me. What are your thoughts about tonight's topic?
I think that if you are in a loving, happy, sexy relationship, marriage, partnership, honestly, I don't think that we should be withholding intimacy from each other. Intimacy is, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's physical, just touch, and it's sexual.
I mean, who you talking to, Mimi?
Sexual.
First off, I'm a grown-ass man. Don't talk to me like that on the radio. You understand me?
I'm sorry if you can't handle it, though.
Listen, I got a woman. You understand?
Okay.
You not gonna lure me out with that voice now.
I'm happy for y'all. Congratulations.
What's up with the whispering?
This is how I sound all day long.
Oh, velvet throat. Listen, what's happening? What is going on?
I'm just feeling a little freaky. Just let me have it.
Don't make me put the hammer down, girl.
Don't make me. I'm feeling frisky already. Don't play with it.
Lord have mercy, Jesus.
Don't play with me. I'm feeling very spicy tonight. Don't play with me.
Well, thank you, Mimi, for the call. We appreciate your insight. What in the world? Andy done turned the music on. Thank you, Mimi, for sharing your insight.
Wow, Zoe can't handle Mimi tonight. All right.
Not this evening. We love you. We appreciate the call. When we come forward, I'm going to talk to my brother Truemonger from Dallas, Texas.
Loving me right, giving me life all night. You could be telling me lies, making me cry, wasting my time the whole time. So just be careful what you take for granted. Yeah. 'Cause with me, no, you could do damage. You could do damage.
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Mike Island, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. One group says the U.S. could default on its debt as early as June if Congress fails to raise the debt ceiling. The U.S. hit its borrowing cap in January, and since then, the Treasury Department has implemented extraordinary measures so the government can pay its bills. The nonpartisan think tank called the Bipartisan Policy Center warned those measures will likely be exhausted sometime this summer or early fall if a deal isn't reached. Snow is wreaking havoc across much of the country, causing hundreds of flight cancellations, with Minneapolis-St. Paul bearing the brunt of it. Former Vice President Pence isn't tipping his hand on whether he'll run for president in 2024. Speaking with CNBC, all he would say is, "I'll keep you posted." Should Pence run, he would go up against his former boss, Donald Trump. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Island from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? Call the accident guys to speak with a real expert attorney for a free consultation.
Is the pen mightier than the sword?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA 1580 app as we strive to remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about. This is unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
What up, baby?
Let's get back to business, Los Angeles County. The Economic Opportunity Grant Program is now open. This program is designed to provide financial support to qualified small businesses, micro-entrepreneurs, food industry businesses such as restaurants, and nonprofits in Los Angeles County. Approximately 4,600 grants of up to $2,500 each will be administered to qualified micro businesses that face barriers to accessing capital resources. To learn more about the Economic Opportunity Grant Program, visit www.grants.lacounty.gov. The application process is fast and easy. Don't miss the opportunity to get back to business. This program is administered by the County of Los Angeles through its Department of Economic Opportunity and funded in part through a grant from the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. The application portal is powered by Lindustry. Visit www.grants.lacounty.gov and get back to business.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative NBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCEL scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tickle, I know you got my attention. It's crazy you're making me comfortable. Right now you're beating out the competition. But I'm the type that need a little more close rings. All of that mean nothing to me. I need more what you're offering me. Yeah, all of that can go. It's you I want. It's deeper than material things. I need some relation, good conversation. Give me stimulation. What's your motivation? How you gon' add to me? Yeah, how you gon' add to me? How you gon' add to me? Show me what it is you feel for me. I'm just saying, can you handle me? How you gon' add to me? Yeah, how you gon' add to me? Yeah, so what you gon' do? Now you got it and it's all on you. It's all on you. Well, you ain't gotta go so fast. Just give me something that's gon' last. Close rings, all of that mean nothing to me. Give
Brothers
me
and sisters,
yeah, all of that
is one of the greatest vocalists in the history of all music, Ledisi. And even the legendary voices know it. Shaka Khan, Gladys Knight, they all know that Ledisi is one of the greatest voices in the history of music. And I wish they would stop withholding her credit. Huh? The industry withholds. We're talking about withholding tonight. Ledisi deserves to be elevated, right? Alongside all the other greats. And it's unfortunate that the sister hasn't gotten her just due. No disrespect to Beyonce, who's on that top list of singers. But Beyonce, better singer than Ledisi? 200 greatest singers? I'm just saying. No disrespect to Beyonce. We love Beyonce. Beyonce, one of our sisters. But if we being real, if we being honest, they say, well, Ledisi's career is not the same. Well, can we talk about, and I know a lot of people are going to be upset, Ledisi doesn't have the aesthetics that Beyonce has. That isn't to say Ledisi isn't an attractive woman. It's just that in this culture, African features are not really appreciated. Can we be honest about that? Huh? Different complexions, different protections. Some Attila Phillips says in the chat room. This isn't trying to pit Ledisi against Beyonce. This is simply saying, are we going to elevate the greats among us? Beyonce is definitely a great, should be elevated. But I also believe that Ledisi should be elevated. An amazing talent. So let's get back to our relationship withholding topic. And a lot of people have been calling in tonight and really testifying. Let's get my brother, True Monger from Dallas, Texas. Get in here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go, brother.
This topic here, man. I think some people do it intentionally, trying to get whatever they think they want or try to manipulate situations. And I think in many cases, it happens unintentionally. Those circumstances happen and hard times happen, and that affects the relationship. A lot of men were not, like we talked about yesterday, a lot of men were not taught how to deal with certain emotions, how to properly affect or effectively communicate those things. And they can ruin relationships. I've experienced that. I've had that happen a couple of times. And you tend to learn more, at least in my experience, I learned more when I fell back from the situation and looked at it once I was out of it and realized what it really was. Because when you're in the middle of it, in the heat of it, you may not be understanding each other's perspectives or where each other is coming from during that time. And the communication can get bad, things fall out, and situations happen. And then if you get a chance to reflect on it, you can understand where that person was coming from,
right,
or how they felt in the situation.
Right. Now let me ask you a couple questions though, True. You tell me what you think. I think because men, going back to your point about men's low emotional IQ overall. I'm not saying all men. You already know we use some but not all. But a lot of men have low emotional IQ. And when you have low emotional IQ, you tend to lean heavily on, gender roles in relationship, gender role responsibilities, right? A man po to do this, and a man po to do that, and a man, and then this is a man, and then, that kind of stuff, right? Now, I feel like, coupled with the fact that we live in a capitalist, materialistic society, that we tend to try to control based on the resources we have. Because, again, withholding doesn't have to be just emotions or communication or grace or understanding. It could also be resources. It could also be, I'm the man and this is how it goes. Or you got to find somebody else that's willing to support you or protect you or provide for you. What are your thoughts?
I can see that. I think a lot of people do operate that way. That wasn't the case with me. It was a case where my demon was starting to come out. My shadow self was coming out. Situations was getting bad. It got to a point where anything I was asking or suggesting or trying to get done didn't seem to be doing any good. So I kind of suppressed myself in that situation because things were crumbling around. It didn't seem like it could get straight. And, things happened, everything fell apart. But then my health declined during that time as well. So that just added on to it. So a lot of insecurities would come up. And you try to rectify it and make things right, but that shadow self was creeping around. That demon was creeping around. So it was kind of difficult to communicate what I was going through at that time.
Wait, let's get deeper because we called it a demon. Let's call it a demon library.
Okay.
Because there's books in that shadow realm psychological books, emotional books,
Right.
experiential books that you have to go access to learn more about yourself. And the reason why I'm putting library on top of the demon piece, because the connotation of demon scares people so badly. I fear that it'll reinforce their fear and make them not want to go into the shadow. But you have to go into the shadow to extrapolate these spirit books that relate to exactly who you are. Go deeper, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. And while I'm in the middle of experiencing that, like I was saying, it was kind of hard to express what I was dealing with, because in that moment, you really don't want, in my case, you really don't want to admit that that's what you're dealing with. You want that person to look at you like you're still strong, like you can still handle things. But at the same time, it was difficult because I was holding on to it by a thread.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard to communicate at that time because I was judging myself, and I was worried about being judged because of it, because of how it was affecting things. And then I had to really step out. I had to step outside of myself and be honest about what was happening, to really start to not defeat it, but to start to get out of that, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
And then I got to a point where I was no longer critiquing myself or judging myself behind what it was. I was just being honest about what it was and where I was at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to start communicating that without judgment, without putting myself down, beating myself up. And it doesn't take away from how I made those people feel. Because I'll never diminish how those situations made them feel, even though there was no ill intention behind it. It just had to be honest about what happened and whether they could understand it. Because I think at the time, we both failed to understand what was going on with each other, and in that instance, failed to be able to support one another with what we were both dealing with. And we both had to get to that point to where we can have honest communication about it and not judge each other about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a process, man. A lot of people don't want to go through that. They just want, like you were speaking on earlier, people just want to refer back to those gender roles to say, oh, I'm supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that. I'm like, man, at the end of the day, we could talk about what we want and how we would handle things, but we never really know until we get in those situations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to reveal things about you.
But see, but true. This goes back to that point. I'm sorry for cutting you off, brother, because I love our back and forth. This is why I say a lot of brothers hide behind gender roles. When we look up the definition of the traditional relationship model, which is gender role centric, it has within its definition, there is nothing about the self and self-responsibility and who you are and self-inquiry and going inside and dealing with yourself. All it does is talk about what you are responsible for per your gender within the construct of a traditional relationship. So what happens is men in general get to say, well, I'm not going to look at me. As long as I'm doing my duty according to the definition of a traditional relationship, you really ain't got nothing to say to me. I am fulfilling my masculine man job by keeping the bills paid, by making sure you have resources you need, and then you neglect yourself. Listen, man, talk to me, brother. Talk to me, man. I'm listening.
I'm guilty of that. I was like that for quite a while. And I had to step back and check myself. Because even the strongest people even had their breaking points. And I broke. I completely broke.
Man.
And it was still hard to explain that, because it's certain things that at certain points in your life
So wait,
that you
I
realize.
True. Let me carry you over, and I want you to remember that thought.
Okay.
There's certain points in your life that you realize that's where you stop. When we come forward, True is going to finish that thought.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
The California Legislative Black Caucus's Black History Month itinerary. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. From movie screenings to award shows, the month of February is busy for the California Legislative Black Caucus. Starting February 17th, the application for the 2023 African American Leaders for Tomorrow opens. On the 27th, the State Capitol Assembly and Senate floors will be full of events from noon until 4, starting with the meet and greet with author Bryant Terry, presentations on Black food, stories, arts, and recipes from across the African diaspora. If this sounds like a good time, visit blackcaucus.legislature.ca.gov.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. It's normal. With CalHope's free and secure mental health resources, it's easy to get the help you and your loved ones need when you need it the most. Call our warm line at 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Congratulations to the Radiology Department of the County of Los Angeles for being this week's winner of KBLA's Office of the Week. Log on to KBLA1580.com to enter your office to win lunch for 10, delivered by John O'Groats Family Restaurant.
You know you want some more. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah. Get married like the Curry, Steph and Aisha, but we more like Belly, Tommy and Keisha. Gave you TLC, you wanna creep and poured out my whole heart to a piece of shit. Man, I thought you would've learned a lesson about liking pictures, not returning texts. I guess it's fine, man, I get the message. You still stutter after certain questions. You keep in contact with certain exes. Do you though? Trust me, it's cool though. Said that you was working, but you out here chasing who knows. With 2 lies, chilling poolside, living 2 lives. I could've did what you did to me to you a few times, but if I did
ladies
slide,
and brothers,
let him hit.
welcome back into the intellectual dojo known as the VOR, the Voice of Reason, here live on KBLA Talk 1580. Tonight's topic has been a doozy, and my brother Truemonger was right in the throes of a very deep point. True, can you finish that up and wrap it up for us?
Yeah. I was saying, at some point, you get to the point where you can be honest with yourself about the things you were dealing with and be able to express it. And then as you continue to grow, if you're still in contact with those people, you can effectively have that conversation with them and give them your perspective about what happened. Just be transparent. And if that person really rock with you, more than likely they'll understand where you were coming from. You'll understand what they were experiencing. And then you can go from there. And then whatever happens from there, that point, y'all can be cool.
Right.
You know, whatever happens after going forward.
Right, and that's that's even if you get the opportunity to even come back into the same space and have that conversation.
Right, because that doesn't always happen. So in cases like that, you just have to accept what it is. But if you get the opportunity to at least get some clarity in the situations, then you can I think both parties can be good going forward, regardless of whatever happens after that.
Man, Brother True, we appreciate you for being on the line. We appreciate you for getting on the show, and we appreciate you for cooking with the rarest avocado oil. Thank you, brother, man. We appreciate you. Call in anytime. You already know you got a seat at the table. Now, Marianne Williamson says it this way. Withholding love is a form of self-sabotage. As what we withhold from others, we are withholding from ourselves. Again, this is the relationship as a mirror concept. What we withhold from others, we are withholding from ourselves. And a lot of people don't understand that because a lot of people don't understand the purpose of relationship. The purpose of relationship is to discover self. Why? Because it is a spiritual dynamic that reflections that come from your partner, you see it as perturbations or disruptions, but really those are reflections. What do you mean, Zoe? They reflect the things you have yet to work on. This is why they perturb you. Real love amounts to withholding. Listen, I want y'all to hear this because people don't understand. It amounts to withholding nothing. This is what vulnerability means. Now, some people will tell you on the vulnerable side, oh, you can't share everything. And I'm not saying that you're supposed to share everything. I'm saying when it's time to share, be open. Be open. And now, what happens is you find out if that person is worthy only after you've shared. And that's okay, because that's a learning process. And a lot of people don't want to learn that lesson. They want assurances and guarantees. But this is not how a relationship works. Sometimes you got to fall on your face to recognize that you're standing on something. Hey! 1-800-920-1580. I'm Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. You know I like to cook. Ralph Waldo Emerson puts it this way. The love that you withhold is the pain that you carry. I know people don't want to hear that. I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't want to hear it that way. You feel justified in doing it, but that's not how it works. You'll never receive love by withholding it. You'll never receive grace by withholding it. You'll never receive appreciation by not giving it to yourself. All inside stuff. I started the conversation. You finish it. Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, shall return tomorrow with another knee slapper of a topic. Stay tuned. We on fire. And I want you to pay attention. Areva Martin and the replay of Les Brown, the great motivator. We've still got a lot to talk about.
Always say that you be there for me. Boy, you better treat me carefully. Look, I was here before all of this. Guess you acting out now, you got an audience. Tell me where your mind is, drop a pin, what's the coordinates? You might have a fortune, but you lose me, you still gonna be misfortunate. Tell me.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Island, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. One group says the U.S. could default on its debt as early as June if Congress fails to raise the debt ceiling. The U.S. hit its borrowing cap in January, and since then, the Treasury Department has implemented extraordinary measures so the government can pay its bills. The nonpartisan think tank called the Bipartisan Policy